It's time to make it, just give it a try. 'Cause you can make it like the old fat guy.
Welcome to this episode of You Can Make It with David Farrell, the old fat guy. That's me. Today we're going to make a classic martini, so there'll be no usage of my usual first ingredient, which is copious quantities of wine taken internally. Now, why is it a classic martini instead of just a martini? These days, people use as much as 3 or 4 or 5 parts of gin to 1 part of vermouth to make a martini. They call that a dry martini, but I call it a shot of gin with a little bit of vermouth into it. I like to have some complexity in my drinks. And in doing my reading, I found out that in the 20s or 30s, when martinis first became popular, they were made with 2 parts of gin to 1 part of vermouth and had a dash of bitters. So I tried it and I really liked it. So it's now my favorite martini, and I'm showing you how to make that classic martini. You start off by half filling a cocktail shaker with ice, and you put into it 2 parts, in this case I'm going to use 2 ounces of gin, and 1 part of vermouth. Now I like to use a nice dry vermouth, so we'll add 1 part or 1 ounce of vermouth. Now, the other ingredient they used was a dash of bitters. So I've got some Angostura bitters here, and we'll just give just a shot of bitters. Now, you don't shake a martini. Whatever you saw in James Bond, it's stirred so you don't bruise the gin. I just think it means the ice doesn't melt as much, you don't get as much water in it. So just stir it up until you start to get a frosty layer on the outside of the shaker. You can see how that's fogging up. That means it's getting cold. You want it to be really, really chilled on your shaker because that means it's cold enough. There we go. Now we're just going to put the strainer on my shaker and pour it into my glass. Now these days, they always put an olive in a martini. In the old days, making the classic ones, they didn't. They used a twist of lemon. They just take a lemon and a zester or a peeler of some kind and take a piece of lemon zest off. And then very importantly, they fold it in half and twist it right over the drink because that gives off some oils that help flavor the drink. And then they drop it in the drink and you have a classic martini. Of course, the best part is trying it. Schluncha. So good. You've got the nice floral notes of the gin with the smoothness of the vermouth. The lemon gives it just a little hint, and the dash of bitters just give it that touch of complexity that makes it a really good cocktail over what I call the shot of gin with a touch of vermouth of the modern ones. So I encourage you to try a classic martini because you can make it.
I have a good woman, I ain't good looking, but I do some cooking, I'm the old fat guy. So use that oven if you want some lovin', be like the old fat guy. Be like the old fat guy.